an exciting haul today with a lot of books that I got last month from IZE Press. I knew that they were sending me a package, but I wasn't sure how much they were going to be sending, but I was really surprised that the care package included 24 volumes. And upon picking up the package from the mail, the box had stickers all over it that said heavy, and it was actually a 28-pound box. So I was so excited when I was opening it up and looking at all of the things that they had sent me. But it's been several weeks now since I got this package in the mail. I didn't do a haul video right away because I wanted to read all the new volumes, the new releases of the ongoing series that I was already following, and get into some of the new series that I haven't read yet, so that I could say a little bit about what I thought about them. So I'll just go ahead and get right into it. I'll have the timestamps below if you want to jump around for the 7 series that cover all of these books. So first is Semantic Error, volumes 1 to 3. So I had already read volumes 1 and 2. And I was so excited for volume 3 to come in the mail because I really like this story and I was excited to read the next bit of content, but also because volume 3 is the first volume in this series that has a mature rating. So these ones are rated older teen, and this one's rated mature. So I really enjoyed this volume. It was really funny, a lot of developments in the relationship of the main characters. And actually my favorite scene of the whole series is in this volume, having to do with an excavator. This is a series that I read digitally before the print release. So I really like this story and I've been having a lot of fun rereading it through the print release. So this is a university set series that follows these two guys who are such opposites. They get off on the wrong foot and drive each other nuts for a while, but then they kind of come to terms with things and accept each other, and then we see how their romantic relationship develops from there. This series does already have a digital release of the novel that is serializing from Pablang, but then in addition to that, it's going to be getting a print novel release next year. I think January is when volume 1 releases from IZE Press. So I am looking forward to that, and I'm excited too just to see how the covers look for the novels, if we're going to get new art by this same artist or if it's going to look a little different. But I have been keeping up with the Pablang novel serialization, really enjoying it. I really love that they left the honorifics and suffixes in the translation that just give a lot of nuance to the relationships between people and the level of respect that they show each other. I'm really curious if the IZE Press, Yen Press novel release is gonna keep those or not, because the Manhwa did not keep them. They translated the honorifics to English equivalent terms, which to me lost a little bit of the nuance, but I'm a big fan of this series and I love the art, so I've still been enjoying it, but really curious to see how the novel is gonna be. And next is Murderous Lewellyn's Candlelit Dinner. I really love the design of the front and back covers of these 2 volumes. And I know for the front covers, at least, they've been using the same illustration as the Korean print release. But just, I love that it's like both of them from the front and then the back covers are the same scene, but from the back. But I'm curious as the series continues how the back covers are going to relate to the front covers for the future volumes, because I've only seen the front covers for the Korean release. But if it continues to follow the same amount of content in each volume and the covers matching the Korean release, then I believe that this is going to be 6 volumes total, so 1/3 through it now. But this is another one that I did read digitally before the English print release. I'm a big fan of this story. It starts out with a lot of mystery and intrigue and setting a dark tone for the story, as well as the suspicions between the characters. But as it continues, it has a really moving plot with their backstories and what their relationship becomes. But for a simple premise, this character is the main character, and he's kind of fallen on hard times. He's living in a rundown apartment in a bad part of town, and in the news there have been reports of a serial killer on the loose in his area, and he's just been under a lot of stress because of that, as well as the fact that he is struggling to find work as a writer. He's been taking editing jobs that are kind of either falling through or not panning out the way that he wants, or they're just inconsistent, so it's hard for him to make ends meet. And in the romance department, he's been having trouble finding partners that he wants to stay with. And then he starts finding evidence of a stalker who's been following him and watching him in his apartment. And from volume 1, we meet this other character who is his neighbor, who is quite an odd guy, who is really obviously taking a strong interest in the main character. But it's been making me super happy reading these with each release. I'll flip through. I mean, you can kind of tell from the cover illustration, but this is the art style. Lewellyn sits in the hallway on the stairs outside of his apartment and peels onions for hours during the day, and it is so weird and off-putting to him. But again, just really happy about this one and excited for the future volumes to release. The next series is Lover Boy. And again, this is one that I read digitally before the English print release. And then again, just like I said for the last 2 series, I'm also quite enjoying my reread where I can kind of see what the story is like to read it formatted differently. Because with all of these ones that I've read, I read them where you're scrolling and just reading the story chapter by chapter and scrolling. And so it's quite a different experience to have it on a page and have the panels kind of squished together or spread out, but just enjoying the read through. Also because I kind of have a bad memory, like I typically remember like major plot points and the ending, but then a lot of details in a story I will forget as time passes. So it's been kind of like a fresh read for these ones. And then as things happen, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot. But this series is rated mature. I think I forgot to say for Murderous Lewellyn, that one is rated teen. So Semantic Error was older teen, mature, and then Murderous Lewellyn is older teen. And these ones are mature. But this series follows these 2 guys. He is in university and he is a working adult. And they were actually childhood friends and neighbors who kind of grew up together, but he is, I think, about 9 years older than him. So he was little and he was like a preteen and then teenager, and then they lose contact when he finishes school and moves away, and it's not until years later when they're both adults that they re-encounter, and the younger one, who has loved him since he was little, tries really hard to pursue a relationship with him. The story is really angsty as there's a bit of back and forth. This character has recently been divorced. The story starts with the re-encounter after he's gotten divorced, and he has a friends with benefits from his teenage years that he has kind of rekindled a relationship with while he's being pursued by this younger guy who he just continues to view him the way that he did before. Because he was so little, he has trouble viewing him as a romantic interest. But I'm really excited for the future volumes. There's still a lot of angst to come. I think this series is going to be 5 volumes if it continues to kind of follow the Korean print release with the amount of content in the books. And I assume it is because IZE Press is using the same cover illustrations as the Korean print release. So looking forward to the upcoming volumes. I think it was volume 4 is my favorite cover illustration from the Korean print release. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it looks in English with the type font in English and just seeing how it looks. But this has been a super nice release so far, and I'm excited to continue the story. The next one is Radio Storm Volume 1. This one is a zombie apocalypse story, and I've been enjoying it so far. This is one that I haven't read before, so I didn't read it digitally. I actually hadn't heard of this series before. I had gotten a copy sent to me earlier from another haul, but I'm looking forward to continuing this story. I think Volume 2 releases soon, and I've been excited to get it so that I can see what happens next. This series is going to be 4 volumes, so once we get Volume 2, we'll be halfway through. But this one is rated older teen. I'm not sure if the rating is going to change as it continues. I was kind of surprised that this volume wasn't rated mature because there is a spicy scene in it. But maybe it's not graphic enough to need that mature rating. I'm not sure. But anyways, this is a zombie apocalypse story with some supernatural elements. So the story starts with this main character who is living in a safe zone as a War Academy student because he possesses a core that gives him a special ability, and in his case, it is emitting plant-like smells. And so because he doesn't know how to use that core and that ability to do anything useful, he's bullied by his classmates and just kind of treated really poorly because of it, that he's getting special treatment being able to live in this safe zone when he's not bringing them any benefit, because the people who don't bring any benefit don't get to live in the safe zone and they have to just fend for themselves in the wild where zombies are. But early in the story, we see that there is a breakout inside the safe zone. So even in the safe zone, they're not safe. And a scientist gives him an assignment to leave the safe zone and find his other half, which is called a caller. And the two are supposed to have a unique bond that will amplify his abilities. And they're acting very urgently about it because evidently with the outbreak happening inside the safe zone, it's because the people with cores can be infected if their other half becomes infected in the outside world. But there is a lot of mysterious activity, and he is super naive, but from the reader's point of view, it's obvious that there's more going on. There's more to the story that they're not telling him. So I found that really intriguing to kind of see like how things are going to go. But after the main character meets his caller, he expects them to just have this bond and to be accepted by him, but he acts hostile toward him and is pretty rough with him because he's just lived his whole life fighting to live and to protect himself. So excited to see where the story goes, but then also to see the relationship develop, because I do like the kind of fated pairing and soulmate vibes in stories, and this definitely has that kind of vibe with the core user and caller dynamic. So, Radio Storm. Next, I have all of these volumes here from one series, and it's ORV, Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint. So I was really excited and happy that IZE Press sent me over all of the volumes so far that have released for the Manhwa. And this is one that I've been following the webtoon release of the series, and I've been staying caught up with it because I really love this story. So this is another apocalypse story that follows this main character. He's been the only reader of a web novel that is super unpopular, but it has helped him through a lot of hard times. And the web novel is about surviving an apocalypse. And so one day when that web novel ends, the things that happen in that novel start happening in the real world, and he immediately sees the similarities and realizes that he's going to have to take those things that he can remember from what he's read and use them to be able to survive in his new situation. But there's a lot of humor, despite having a lot of violence. It has a lot of comedy, and I just find it so funny. But in the web novel, there is a protagonist, and as the events from the story start happening, he is not the protagonist. He is a side character who is not meant to survive after the first scene. So he has to kind of, again, take what he knows and survive while also dealing with this guy who is the protagonist of the original story. But I really like the cast. A lot of really interesting people. I don't remember if I showed the backs. If you want to pause to read the official blurb. But I don't know how many volumes, rated teen, I don't know how many volumes this series is going to be, but I have a feeling it's going to be very long because the webtoon right now is not even halfway through the completed novel. And these volumes cover only a fraction of the current webtoon chapters. So this is going to be quite long, but I think it's worth it to have this story. I am just such a big fan of it. It's so interesting, so well written too, but then also the main character is extremely relatable because he, in the real world before the apocalypse, was really relatable that he just always felt frustrated about his work and his relationships with his coworkers and kind of soothed himself by reading. And then because of what he read before the apocalypse, he kind of views his identity to be that of a reader. And that's what's going to help him to survive. So really, really enjoying this story as I continue to read the webtoon. I also got the first volume of the novel. I actually had gotten the advanced reader's copy in the mail a few months ago before the novel release, and definitely enjoyed reading in this format. I'm so excited about the print release of the novels because it's going to contain the whole series in a more concise release. So I don't know for sure, but based on the chapter count of the completed novel in Korean, with the amount of content covered in this volume, if they continue the same kind of pacing with the content to match the print release in Korean, it should be somewhere around like 20 to 24 volumes of the novel, which is much less than the Manhwa, which I believe is gonna be like, I feel like it's gonna be like 50 volumes or something like that. It's gonna be so much. And then also the volumes, since they're color pages, the books are pretty heavy. So since I got these in the mail, I've been kind of making adjustments on my shelves because I have to have them on a bottom shelf because of the weight. It's gonna be like across the shelf because I really dislike when my shelves bow. But anyways, I really enjoyed reading the advanced copy, and then when I got this novel in the mail, I was planning to read it when I got it, but I decided to wait to reread it until I get volume 2. And then when I get volume 2, I'm going to reread volume 1 just for a refresher because, like I said, my memory is not great. And then that way I can get a refresher and then read right into volume 2. But the cover is super nice. It has this color page behind this like die cut cover. I'm excited to see how the next ones will look. I have looked online at the Korean release to see what the other illustrations will look like, but with this first volume, we have this color page, but then we also have these additional color illustrations. And then I thought it was interesting too that the way that the text is, the font changes based on like different interactions. So like when it's being narrated or when there's dialogue or an inner monologue, it's just in a regular font. But then like whenever it's an interaction online, it will look like this. And then additionally like this with a different font to kind of stand out as different. But then if you're familiar with the webtoon or the manhwa release, there will be like blue blocks of like announcements of things happening in the different scenarios where the people have to accomplish things in order to survive to the next scenario. And it is in these gray boxes, and I just like the way that it kind of stands out as something different than the text, so that it's clear that that's what it's supposed to mean. I will just show it in here. So like when there's a scenario with information and then just information about the characters, like profiles. I'm trying to flip off screen so that I won't just like flip through the entire volume and spoil someone who hasn't read it. But as such, those are the things in the novel that are the text inside the gray boxes. But then apart from the story, enjoying it, like I really love novels when I've read the adaptations to go through and just see the extra things that come from the source material, like extra nuance when we get to see more of the characters' inner monologues, and there's just more space in a novel to have that detail that is kind of not translated quite right when adapted to another format like webtoon or manhwa. But so really enjoyed the novel, but then just in general with the print release, I forgot to show on the cover, I love the way that the constellations on the cover are kind of embossed, or raised. So just that little extra part of the design, I feel like makes it really special. And then also having the kind of, it's hard to tell, but like the kind of foil title font and the little detailing around is just a really nice release. And I'm really excited to continue this one with the future volumes of the novel. And I really hope that because more of the story is contained in these novels, so more content will be released as the novels release, I hope that it will catch up soon to not just the manhwa release, but to the current webtoon release too, so that I can get like extra content sooner and be able to continue this story and read further past what we've gotten so far with the comics, with the webtoon. And then this pile has another chunk that is from one series, but before I get into that one, I have one more novel. And it's volume 1 of Villains Are Destined to Die. So I know that this one has a manhwa adaptation, and I haven't read it. I actually did not ever intend to read this series because I'm not really drawn to like villainess, isekai, historical royalty series. I kind of contradict myself though, because there are some that I really like. Like the first ones that come to mind are Under the Oak Tree, I do like a lot, and Smyrna Capri, I like a lot. But I'm just not drawn to them, and I won't like seek them out. But I am open to try new things, and especially when something is sent to me, then I will check it out. So because this one was sent to me, I have been reading it. I actually just started it yesterday, and I'm about 1/3 through this first volume. I believe that the main story is going to be covered with 4 volumes, and then there's a 5th volume of a side story or bonus chapters, I believe. So when I found that out, I was like, oh, that's kind of short. That's not that long, because I was thinking about how ORV is going to be like over 20 volumes probably for the novel. So this is going to be quite manageable for me, but I am going to continue reading it this evening, and I am enjoying it so far. I'm actually enjoying it more than I thought I would. I kind of will presume whether I will like something or not, and then I will go into it like, okay, well, I probably won't like it, but I'll give it a try. But I actually am enjoying the read of it. So for anyone else who doesn't know anything about this series, like I didn't know anything until I started it, it is an isekai series, so it follows a university-aged girl who was playing a dating sim mobile game and was able to beat it on normal mode, found it really easy, and enjoyed it. And then she put the game on hard mode, and it was extremely difficult. She stayed up all night playing it, but just would continuously have to reset and reset and reset after not making it to the end, not even making it close to the end of beating hard mode. And then after staying up all night, she falls asleep and wakes up in the starting scene of the hard mode. And while the normal mode, she played as the princess protagonist, in the hard mode, the protagonist is the villain of the story, the false princess who tried to take the place of the real princess. So I assume that's what the title is supposed to mean. Villains are destined to die, and she's playing as the villain, and she's destined to die. And the whole point of the hard mode and being put into the game as the villain in hard mode, she has to try to beat that destiny and win affection points with the 5 male leads to be able to survive before the set end point where the real princess returns. So I am enjoying it because of it being like kind of a video game type setting, and with the girls' inner monologue kind of being a modern day girl. As I'm meeting the male characters, I have been looking up, just like Googling their name and the title to see what they look like in the manhwa, just so that I can kind of like have a visual in my head of what they look like. But this is one of the 5 guys. So I'm assuming that the next volumes will have the other guys in the cover. But this one too, just like ORV, has the die cut cover to feature the art behind the front cover. But I've been enjoying this read. This one, I don't know, it feels like it's pretty easy to read. I was surprised I got through so much of it because I started pretty late yesterday. But this one is like 330 pages. And I've been reading a lot of Danmei lately, and so just like everything that I read, like I compare it to my memory of how long it took me to read a Danmei novel and based on its length. So gonna get back to reading this tonight, and I hope I continue to enjoy it. I am at this point wanting to continue reading the rest of the series too, because just based on the introduction of the girl falling asleep and then waking up in the game, I'm really curious, like regardless of how things go in her playthrough, like her live playthrough of hard mode, I'm curious what's going to happen at the end, if she's then just going to wake up in her apartment and it'll all be like it was a dream or what. But it is interesting too that her real life family is kind of similar to the situation of the villain girl, where she has 2 older brothers that are really terrible to her in the game, and in real life she has 2 stepbrothers that are older than her that really treated her badly when she lived at home. So she's kind of seeing these parallels as she plays, so I'm wondering if at the end playing it in hard mode is going to have been to like teach her life lessons about how to get along with her family. and maybe she actually misunderstood them and now she can repair her relationships with them or something. But then 3 of the other guys are not related to her. Like the 2 brothers are supposed to be like step brothers, so they're not like related by blood. And then the 3 other guys are not related. So I'm curious too, just like at the end of the series, is it going to be she wakes up back in her apartment and repairs her relationship with her family and her brothers and then meets 3 guys at university and is able to like kind of take what she learned from the hard mode and like find a boyfriend or something. But I'm not really, again, I'm just not really drawn to harem type series. But this one is fun because it's like she's not trying to get them all to fall in love with her. She's just trying to boost their affection points so that they don't kill her. So enjoying this one so far, about a third through, going to continue tonight. And then looking forward to continuing 3 more volumes, I think, with the main story. And then the final volume with the, I guess, bonus or side stories. So looking forward to more of this release. And I want to see what the other guys look like in this art style because this art is different than the manhwa. So I looked up the Korean release and it didn't have their illustrations on the cover. So I want to see what the other guys look like. But enjoying this one so far. And then the last series is volumes 1 to 7 of See You in My 19th Life. So this volume does have a digital release that's completed, and I believe the Korean print release is 12 volumes. So I'm assuming that this release is going to also be 12 volumes. So over halfway there. This is another one that is a new series for me, and so far I've only read volume 1, and I really liked this premise and the characters. I didn't really, like, I went in blind. I didn't read anything about it before I got into it, but I assumed based on the title that it had to do with reincarnation and that it was in a modern setting rather than like being a reincarnation isekai where the main character is transported to a different world or something. I don't know why, like I wasn't sure. I saw 19th Life and I thought it like might have something to do with cats because cats have 9 lives, and I like just now realized, oh, it's 19th Life, not 9th Life. I was thinking like maybe she's on her last life or something, but anyways, so this story follows a person who has lived through 18 different lives, and each time when she has died has been then reincarnated and doesn't regain memories until hitting about 10 years old, and then all the memories come back of the past lives, and then they just are able to kind of take that knowledge and live out their life. And I say they because the main character has lived many lives as both a man and a woman, in those different lives having husbands, having wives, and different relationships along the way. But in her 18th life, she is a young girl and meets someone who is really special to her, who she wants to remember and meet again in her 19th life. And then in her 19th life, she is again a female when reincarnated and is living her whole life to re-encounter with that person. So if you want to pause and read the official blurb, I'm not sure if I did a bad job explaining because I've only read this first volume, but I was sucked in right away. I really like both of the main characters, and the dynamic between them is so good. I really just am excited and invested in seeing how their relationship develops and just how things go. After reading volume 1, I really wanted to just binge all of the volumes, but I just read volume 1 because I was curious. But I have quite a few things on my TBR this month, so I'm planning to read through my monthly TBR for September, and then as a reward, then once I finish my TBR, I'm going to come back to this, binge the rest of these volumes and very likely continue digitally to finish the series from volume 8 to 12. Because I don't think I'm going to be able to wait on the print release. I am just going to want to see what happens and then collect it from there. But I was so surprised. Like, I wasn't expecting like not to like it, but I was not really sure what to expect because I didn't know anything about the series. But just from like halfway through volume 1, I was like, this is so good. And then by the time I finished, I was just like, I love them. So I'm really excited to read the rest of this series. Like, it's taking a lot for me to hold back because I really just want to read it. But I have like 6 novels on my TBR for this month, as well as a manhwa series and a manga series. I've already read 2 of the novels and I'm halfway through the manga series. So I am trying to use this to motivate myself. So we'll be looking forward to continuing this probably in like another like 2 weeks maybe. So it's like, I think it's September 8th right now. So I'm hoping I can get my TBR read by like the next week or 2. And then I can spend the last week of the month just reading whatever I want. So this is everything that I got from my IZE Press care package. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to add all of these to my physical collection and to have a few new reads. But glad I could share all of these titles. And if you're subscribed to my channel, you probably know that I don't really do reading log videos anymore or any kind of review videos. I basically just do haul videos and then just like organization or art book flip throughs. Apart from my monthly YouTube shorts where I share my top favorite reads of the month and just like little bullet points of what each series is about. But it's because I found it really repetitive to film review videos every month because I read a lot every month. Like, I'll put up on the screen how much I've read so far this year each month. And that's including novels, doujinshi, manga volumes, seasons of manhwa if they don't have a print release. So I read so much every month that it's kind of a pain at the end of the month to have to think back and produce a video where I'm talking about each one, because with every single read, I post in my Instagram stories my thoughts on it. And then if it's one that I love, then I will do an Instagram post as well. I only make posts about series that I like. I don't like making posts about series I don't like. But every single read I have in my Instagram story highlights. So if you're ever curious about any of my reads, that's where you can find my thoughts on those. But I was bringing that up because in September, I'm going to have my review for Villains Are Destined to Die and See in My 19th Life, if you're interested in my thoughts on these 2 reads. But really happy that all of these titles that I got from IZE Press are stories that I'm enjoying and I'm looking forward to future releases. But I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll probably have another haul video in the next week or 2 because I have been getting quite a bit of mail lately. But until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon in another video.